It is the No Cap Recap, Labor Day special style.
All right, all right.
And why? Well, it has been a busy week. It's been a really busy week. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it has been.
So we had the Tara Simmons event, the second annual Champions of Justice on Thursday, and then I'm trying to recap everything that happened. What happened Friday? I don't remember what happened Friday. And then Saturday was the Islander Festival with Bailey. That was fantastic, and the food was delicious. The dancing, the music, man, all the people, that was great. Then yesterday, Brother Marlon took me and Sabrina and the kids down to the pier to catch crab. It was the last day of crab season. So we got about 20 crabs and some flounders. I didn't catch any fish. Caught some crab, learned how to hold the crab from the back.
Okay.
And man, what did I do Friday? Man, I'm telling you, it was like a blur. You know what I mean?
Sometimes life's like that. Just so much happening, so much going on.
But it's been great. And oh man, we got more good stuff coming up. But how you doing, Rev?
I'm doing well. I'm just gonna take 1 second because I'm gonna take a liberty here because I'm putting this on Anchor as well. So happy Labor Day to everybody. This is our no cap recap of Saturday's sermon. Uh, the people say you have an attitude. The people say you have an attitude.
I got attitude.
I got attitude too, man.
Do you?
Yeah, I got attitude.
All right.
All right. So I didn't want to take that liberty for this sake. But
Yep, no worries. Rob says, "Good afternoon, gentlemen. Looking and sounding good."
All
Thank
right.
you there, Mr. Dent.
What's up, Rob?
All right. And so as we do during this show, let me go ahead and mute my phone. I don't know who's in front of my house. We recap the sermon from Saturday, and then the Rev and I have a discussion, and I come from it from the secular side, and he comes from it from the Christian side, and this is where the two sides meet together, and then hopefully you can take something from it.
Yeah, the two sides meet together for practical application of our daily living. Is the purpose, I believe.
Yeah. So practical from the worldly side, practical from the religious side, but also practical spiritually too, right?
Yes.
Spiritual application.
Yes. I don't much believe in religion myself, but I'll let you have that one.
Wait, what? You need to explain that one.
Well, I think religion is a man-made construct, in the sense that my Bible says that true religion is to care for the orphans and widows. So, in other words, and that's in the book of James. So, in other words, what James was saying was true religion is, taking care of those less fortunate, those that are in need. In his day and time, those were the most needy and most vulnerable of the population would be widows and orphans. And so when people say religion, I tend to say I'm not very religious because they think in terms of, the church or a denomination or something like that. And, I'm all about, love, peace, and hair grease.
Okay. All right. So the verse for today, and we're working out of the
New Living Translation.
New Living Translation. And the verse is 2 Corinthians 9:15. Mm-hmm. Verse 15 says, "Thank God for this gift, too wonderful for words!" Exclamation point.
Amen.
So recap your sermon.
So it was a pretty short, simple, sweet sermon. And what we discussed what I discussed during the sermon was dealing with our attitudes, towards things. What is our attitude like towards things? For subject's sake, as I said, it was titled, "Do People Say You Have an Attitude?" When we look at Paul's letters that he wrote, the attitude that Paul often reflected was that of gratitude in many ways. We looked at his letter to his son Timothy, where he expressed gratitude and appreciation for Christ having found him worthy to be put into the ministry. A lot of the times, a lot of the letters that we read, we all know Paul was a jailbird, in and out of prison all the time, and a lot of his letters came during those times that he was sitting in prison. But they're filled with optimism and joy and gratitude to God for just everything. And so as we preached, as I preached on Saturday, it was just, to kind of highlight those things to say that we ought to have, that same type of attitude towards life and towards the things that God is doing for us every single day. You know, um, He's constantly giving us days that, you know, wasn't promised to us. We wake up in our right mind. We wake up, able to sit up, and stand up and move, and these are things that not everybody uh, enjoy. And there will be a day that'll come for each of us where we won't rise up for that day. And so the days that we have when we do rise up, God blesses us to see and participate in a new day. We ought to be grateful and have gratitude towards that day. And so that's the I say the short and skinny of it. I mean, it was a little bit more to it, but that's the point.
Okay. Well, let me jump in there. When I saw the title, now what was the title? Do you have
Uh,
attitude?
yeah. Do people say you have an attitude?
People definitely say I have an attitude. They also say I have an agenda, and so uh, you would hear folks say, oh, I don't like this person or that person. I don't know what their agenda is, and I look at it differently. I'm thinking, if you don't have an agenda, then what's your purpose, right? My agenda is my purpose. I'm on my purpose, and therefore I have an agenda in what it is that I'm doing, right? There's rhyme and reason to my actions, my thoughts, and my behaviors. And first, you have those thoughts, and then you try to translate those thoughts, hopefully, into behaviors, right? And you're going to have negative thoughts that enter your mind. And when I was teaching at the college, and I'm definitely not the first instructor to use um, these tools, but we would ask folks to create a gratitude jar, right?
Mm.
Um, because I was teaching a lot of non-traditional students, so folks coming out of jail or prison, single mothers, single fathers, folks that were coming back to school from a long absence, folks that hadn't graduated high school like myself. And so it can be very difficult as you're trying to embark on this educational journey in the hopes that you're going to make enough money to provide for yourself and your family on the other side, right? But the opportunity cost of you becoming a student is very stressful, because you could be working 40 hours a week versus being a college student. And so that's very stressful. And so when you're living as the starving student, as they call it, right, you can get down, you can get sad, you can get depressed, you can decide to say, hey, you know what, this is taking too long. I need to be able to go back to work. I've got things I want to do. I may have kids. They got birthday parties. They have all these things that I want to be able to provide for them that either my parents couldn't provide, or I just want to have a better life for them, which is usually what a parent wants to be, right? They always want to provide a better life for their children than they had, even if they had a good upbringing. And so, folks can get lost in the sauce. And it's like, you need to stay present and remember all the blessings that you have. What are you grateful for? Right?
Indeed,
Uh,
indeed.
yeah. And so, it can be difficult when you're going through the monotony of day after day, week after week, quarter after quarter. This is going to take 2, 3, 4, 5 years to get this degree. And It's a marathon, not a sprint, as you hear. And so you need to give yourself that gratitude. So put in a bowl and just write something that you're grateful about, right? And fill that bowl up. And then in the morning, you pull something out of it, or in the day when you're not feeling, you're down on yourself, you're feeling kind of low, and pull that up, right? I have the ability, the power of discernment. I have the power to say no, right? We can talk about ableism, right? I can walk, I can talk, I can think, right? I can go to the refrigerator and get something to eat, right? All these different things, whatever gratitude is for you that you're grateful for, put those things in the bowl because it can help to shift your perspective, right? Oftentimes people think, all right, well, I'm in this rut. I'm in this bad mood. I don't know how I got in this mood, but I'm just feeling this way. And you're just waiting for it to wear off. But you actually have the power to navigate yourself through that. And having that gratitude bowl can be one of those ways.
Amen. I want to add in that sometimes we don't realize, and I would say sometimes people don't realize, or they um, suffer momentary lapse of memory or whatever. But it's important to understand just how much of a factor uh, one's attitude plays in their success in life. In various ways. You know, when if you have a negative outlook towards everything, you're going to experience a lot more negativity in life, just because simply you just look at everything in a bad way and as negative. Whereas if you take a more positive outlook towards life and towards situations, even you know less pleasing, I'll say, situations that you don't find as pleasing as others. If you look for the positive in that, and then say, you know what, I'm going to hold on to that, and move forward with a positive attitude, even in the less pleasing circumstances. You can kind of turn your circumstances around. And most people um, are apt to more apt to say, like, you know what, I don't want to be around you when you possess negative attitudes. And if somebody that's always just that Debbie Downer, or that whatever, is just like, you know what, I don't really got time for it, I don't want to be around them. And you start avoiding they'll start avoiding you or whatever. So just paying attention and reflecting on your attitude towards life, your attitude towards situations, your attitude towards the circumstances you find yourself in moment to moment and day to day, plays a factor. I often tell people, like, don't let someone else's negativity bring you down. You get in the line and the cashier has a negative attitude and they're funky or whatever. I say, listen, kill them with kindness. You know what I'm saying? Don't let that affect your attitude. Let your attitude still be, positive, and it can affect change, even on a person that has a negative attitude, So it's important that we reflect on our attitude, not just day by day or week by week, but moment by moment, because it's easy to slip into those negative outlooks in life and just be like, oh well, this thing happened and this thing happened, and the world's against me, and like, but again, like you said, those ableisms, what you're able to do, what you can do, what I'm saying, look at the positive out of it. What the situation, you wrecked your car, what I'm saying, that was your only mode of transportation, what I'm saying, but you know what? I walked away from that accident. I'm still able to walk. And so, yeah, that was my main mode of transportation. But you know what? I'm still able to transport myself on my left and right foot, And so just having that, having a mind to, create a positive space for your attitude.
I think one can be helpful in that too. I wanted to go back a little bit because you said something about just kind of being around negative people.
Yeah.
And that can be detrimental. I'm not going to go too far down this rabbit hole, but you know, you need to understand the difference between acquaintances and friends, right? This conversation that I've had with my dad over and over again,
Yes,
and we
yes.
think that we use that term so loosely. This is my friend. This is my friend. It's like that person is not your friend. They do not have your best interests at hand, and if you are extending friendship and it's both ways, then sometimes you might actually be around that person when they're not in a positive light, right? They might need you to help them come from that
Yeah,
space, right? And
definitely.
there will be they'll have gratitude for the friendship,
Yeah.
right? And so I just want people to be cognizant of that too. Fair weather friends is a real thing, and that can be very much a concern. So it's like, hey, you're only here when it's good times, and then as soon as it gets bad, you're gone. Just be aware of that,
Yeah.
because sometimes we can't tell the difference in that, because it's good times and it's all great, and then all of a sudden there's some hard times. Those folks aren't there, and they may say to you, "Well, I just don't have time for negative stuff."
Yeah.
And it's like, well, wait a minute, we're supposed to be friends. It's a little bit deeper than that.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that.
I you're absolutely right on that part. Because even with in what I was saying, we're all gonna hit times those low points in our life. What do you call them? You say where you don't have a high mental.
Oh, my emotional intelligence is
Yeah,
low.
yeah, emotional
Mhm.
intelligence is low. I like how you say that. But we're all gonna kind of go through those moments, and yeah, we need other people. Like you should be more positive than negative. You know what I'm saying? And the people that you keep around you should be more positive than negative, so that when you are, going through that negative spot, or somebody else's, a friend is going through that negative spot, it's like, okay, I can try and pull you up from it. What I'm what I was mainly talking about is like those people that is like, okay, you just want to be negative. Like
Right.
I'm trying to like help you, and you just like actively like, yeah, no, you know what I'm saying? Like, because you have those people and they irritate me. Like you just advocating for negativity for what reason? Like you don't want to be happy,
Mhm.
and those type of people. That's what I'm saying. Like, stay away from.
Yeah,
Like,
you need to love from a distance,
yeah,
for
because
sure.
it's like it's poisonous. It can
Yeah.
be very poisonous.
Well, I'll give you an example. When I'm teaching in the classroom, and it would be time to, tell them what they needed to do, or they would get the syllabi on the first day. Uh, it's like, oh, well, you're going to have to do all this stuff. And you hear the groans like, oh, man, there's 5 papers, or there's a comprehensive math test, or whatever the case may be. And that's infectious, right? So as soon as a few folks start groaning, then everybody starts groaning, right? But when folks are upbeat, looking at it from the lens of, hey, man, this is a great learning opportunity. This is great. This is there's different things in here. That also is infectious too.
Yes.
And it can be the whole dynamic. If you've ever had to do any kind of group work, and you're in there, and that one person is kind of holding the whole group back, right? You're upset with that member because they're not holding up their end of the group dynamic. They're not doing their part of the assignment. Like you said, they're being a negative Nancy, and Nancy gets a bad rap, and so does Debbie, right? Debbie Downer. But they're just always that person that's just an anchor on the whole thing.
Yeah.
But when that person is like, hey, you know what? Okay, this is going to be tough, but we can get through this. We're going to do this. We're going to figure it out. We're going to just keep on going, and you go through it together, and you come out the other side. And one of the things that I'm very gracious about and have gratitude about is the fact that, one, I have the power of discernment, right? I have the power to walk away from things. I have the power of clarity to see things for what they are. But I also have the power to change my mind. I have the power to be wrong and live with that and be accountable to myself for that.
That would be a great conversation one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't, and you know what? Even as far as attitudes go, I feel like we are in a culture where like everybody feels like they always have to be right, and that it's somehow you lose something in admitting, that like, okay, I was wrong, you know like that's, I think it's a powerful thing, and for me personally, I feel like it's a moment of growth for myself when I'm able to recognize my errors and say, okay, I was wrong in this situation, and then admit it. Like, okay, you were right, I was wrong. I can admit that. right?
Yeah.
And some people, I feel like we live in this society where it's like, nah, even if they know they're wrong, they gonna, just hold on to that and be like, nah, and like, I don't take it as a bad thing.
It doesn't do anything for you, right?
No,
I'll tell you a story.
it
And
holds you back actually.
hey, Shay, um, no, I'll give you a story. So, myself and brother Bailey had an issue, and I did a podcast several months ago on leadership and what does it mean to be a leader.
Mhm.
And so, in that podcast, I took accountability for the part that I played in that where I was wrong. And it's like I could have handled that situation a lot better. And I do a lot of those things in the public space so other people can benefit from it, right? And say, I can be your cautionary tale, so you can emulate the things that I've done well and you can avoid the things that I've done bad. But I think it's, a lot of times, especially like on Facebook and social media, people always show the front facing, the good parts of their lives and everything is all great. And you don't really see the bad parts. And so, well, you know what? They need to see the vulnerability. They need to see the self accountability. I was just telling another brother that was dealing with addiction, and so we bumped into each other the other day. Shout out to you if you're watching. And he was like, "Hey, I've got like 60 something days clean, and
Amen.
I'm doing the work and this and that." And I just said, two things. I said one, because he talked about depression and sadness, things like that. I said, men, we're still in a time where even though we're getting better, seek mental health counseling, talk to each other. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be sad, process your feelings. We're still told that we're not to, right? We're supposed to swallow it. We're supposed to suck it up and just man up, right? We get all those ups that are thrown at us, and then we're supposed to stay stoic and just process through it. And I said, don't do that. There's so many out of us men that are out here, and young boys that are sad or depressed, and they don't have anywhere to go. And when they do try to go to their other male friends, everyone else is trying to hold up the machismo of, oh, shut that down, you're tripping, whatever. And so now they don't have it. They don't even have their friends to go to as an outlet.
But also, besides the machizo, I got to look that one up.
Machismo.
Yeah, I don't know that word.
Machoism.
Okay. I'm a person. I love words. So when I hear a word I don't know, I ain't got no problem with saying, "Look, I don't know what that means," and trying to figure it out. Yeah, I did. Was I not supposed to?
Yeah, someone's coming in.
Oh,
it's an open thing.
Sean? Is he coming? Oh
No.
yeah, that's right. It is open thing. I'm sorry. Like I'm tripping. Anyway, back to the show.
There you go.
When we're dealing with depression, you know what I'm saying, and we're trying to talk with other people, that can also people can also misconstrue that as people being having a negative attitude and a negative outlook. And we have to be cautious, because I do advocate for, look, I don't want negativity around me. I don't want to deal with it. But, what I'm saying, we do have to be able to make space for, people's mental health as well, and understand the difference between somebody that just got a negative attitude towards life and somebody that's, dealing with some mental health stuff where like, hey, I'm battling with some depression right now and I'm in a low state, a low place in my life, and the world just doesn't look sunny and bright to me right now because my mental health isn't there. That's that's an important distinction that people have to realize and understand. Like if you sitting here complaining and you tripping because like, okay, we got a project to do. I ordered number 2 pencils, but they sent me number 1s. Man, we ain't gonna be able to do this. We got number 1. Like you tripping. That's negativity. You know what I'm saying?
Well, my I had a professor, one of my mentors in my master's program, old white lady, Marty Drummondale. Shout out to Marty, Old Dominion University, the Monarchs. She says, no stinking thinking. And so she's teaching us the methodology and the pedagogy of teaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you as an instructor can't have negative thinking, because how are you going to, be your best version of yourself so that you can get the best version of it out of your students, right? And so that always stuck with me. And I'm sure, again, she hasn't invented that, but that was really important to interject into understanding the responsibility you have of controlling your emotions and your thoughts
Mm-hmm.
when you're in the classroom in front of
Mm.
folks. Shaylin says, dual reality conversation. I am happy, and there are some things that I'm struggling with today. Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of things that I'm struggling with. I'm constantly struggling. But I tell you what, last night,
Amen.
got home from the crabbing. I was dog. I could barely walk after everything was said and done. I took hey, how you doing?
How's it going, bro? Good to see you, man.
Gylan, that's Keyshawn right there. He knows you're coming. If you guys want to go around into the back of the room, or if
Just
you can
sit
hang out,
down,
either
sis.
way,
Just
it's,
sit
it's
down.
cool. You know, I just want to be cognizant of your time. So, oh, that's good. You hungry? I made breakfast. You know, there's some. It's an egg bake with or a scramble with potatoes and
Quit
Italian
bragging.
sausage
Quit
and
bragging. It's
bacon.
food over there.
What?
He
With
trying to
spinach.
brag
What?
right now.
Hey, I throw it down. I put it down. I don't do it often, but when I do, those are
You do.
keys.
You do.
But yeah, no. She said no stinking thinking, and that's really important to have that mindset.
You know what? It is. And I would say this for especially our younger audience, because sometimes our younger people don't realize or understand this as much as older people, and we have some older people that just never really figured it out. But
That's facts.
You don't always, everybody doesn't need to know, what I'm saying, everything, and sometimes when you're going through like, a low state or whatever, you have to know who to share with and who not to share with, because as you were saying earlier, everybody's not, for your best,
No, they might weaponize it against you later on.
yeah, and so like you may have those friends that, like you were saying, was like, oh, shut that noise down, we ain't trying to hear it, and that's because they're not really for your best, so it's a lot of fine lines and fine lines in this subject, what I'm saying, as far as our attitude goes.
So then how do you help people navigate the fine line?
Well, the fine lines is, me, one, I'll speak from my personal the way I deal with things.
That's right. Give us that anecdotal experience.
So, I battle with major depression, right? And I take medicine for it.
Did you just say not to tell everyone your business?
Yeah.
You confuse me, Rep. Go ahead.
But again, I just said I'm gonna speak from my point of view.
Go ahead.
Okay, so all right.
Go ahead. I'm just messing with you.
I know you was, but you know what? The audience needs to understand this, right? So I know how to protect myself. I know how to protect my own mental being, and so information that I choose to share, it's not information that anybody can, use against me in a way that I would even care. So if somebody go out and be like, oh yeah, Rev Ellington, he said he battled with major depression. I don't care. Like, this is the world we live in. Depression is a real thing, and we got to bring it out of the closet as being this stigma that, people are ashamed of or feel like they got to hide from and, can't talk about, right? Because it's a real thing. And lives are being lost because of that, so just like, yeah. Now, like on Pacifics, I ain't got nothing to say to you. That ain't none of your business. You know what I'm saying? So understanding what you can share and what you can't share with the whole world is one thing. And then understanding, those people in your life that you can confide in and what I'm saying, trust. That's another thing. And that takes one time. It takes, a little bit of vulnerability and saying, you know what, I'm going to share X, Y, and Z and just see how the person handle it. Don't let it be the worst of the worst, you know what I'm saying, where it's just like going to ruin your life. But, like, okay, I'll share a little something and we're going to see how, that goes. And, it builds trust with one another, right? You got to build trust with a person that you can confide in. Even like if you're seeing a therapist or a psychologist or whatever, the same principle holds true. Like, you don't just go in there telling them everything. Like, you know what? We got to build a rapport. We got to build a relationship. Thank you. You know the other word I was trying to say. But anyway, so it takes time, right? You know what I'm saying? And understanding that it's okay if you are if your attitude is that you know what I'm saying, where you're dealing with the mental health, it's okay. Go get help. Don't be ashamed about it. You know what I'm saying? And don't let anybody, you know what I'm saying, bully you about your mental health, because it's the same thing as your physical health.
So let me ask you a question, because this conversation is centered around gratitude in 2 Corinthians 9:15.
Attitude of gratitude. Yes.
Thank God for this gift. Too wonderful for words.
Yeah.
So in regards to how you are navigating your own depression, what are you grateful for? What's your gratitude there?
So my gratitude is that I'm able to, come to terms with, like, this is just, a part of life. I understand that it's hereditary. My mom, she deals with it. Most likely my father did before he passed. I'm grateful that, I'm, I'm comfortable enough with who I am to not care and be able to talk with my doctor and say, yeah, this is what's going on. Even before, like, it kind of got big in the media and stuff, like, look, this is what's going on with me. And,
so just to clarify, it's not that you don't care. It's that it doesn't, people's judgment, you don't care about. It doesn't.
Right. Right. Okay. People's judgment. Yeah. I think little of what other people think of me. My and I ain't got no problem telling people, only person I'm really trying to please is God, and I know if I do the things that please him, then I'm going to be treating people the way that I ought to be treating them. And ultimately they should, in turn, be happy or satisfied or whatever you want to call it with how I treat them, because I'm not doing anybody wrong, because I'm living based off of how God wants me to live. And so then those people that don't like how I treat them, obviously they got a problem with love, because I tend to treat everybody the same, no matter how nasty they are to me. I'm still a good person to them. So but getting back to the attitude of gratitude part, I feel like, our mental health, our mental state is it's a big part of our attitude. How we perceive the world, how we interact with the world, and so forth.
Well, you're speaking on you now. We're talking about what are you grateful for? What's your gratitude in regards?
Well, I told you those gratitude parts.
Well, then.
I'm gonna stop.
Then they gotta come back over here.
Right, go back over there. Yes, you're right.
Like, let me go back. I got some more to say over here.
All right, go ahead.
So no. I wanted you to talk about that, because sometimes the connection isn't made, right? So you're living with whatever you're going through, and then where's the gratitude that helps you to work through that and process your life as you go through that. And so in that, gratitude is very important. And I think there's some grace that goes along with that also as well. I was telling the same gentleman, because he had someone else that he wants to come back home. And what I told him was, I said, look, I told him the same thing I'm going to tell you. He knows this. All he needs to do is do the work. And if he does the work in the light, then there's nothing that anyone can say to him, because he's worried about the judgment, right? Because he had ascended to this place in the community, and then he had fallen. And now it's like, well, how do I face people again? And I said, well, your shield is you stand back up, because that's what we do. And then you do the work, and you do the work in the light. You don't hide it, right? And be grateful for it. And once you do that, most people aren't willing to do that. They live in shame. They're worried about what other people think about them. Yeah. You're going to stand up and you're going to do the work. Do the work in the light, and that's going to be your shield. There's no one that can say anything to you, and their opinion isn't going to matter. One thing that's really important also is you have to grow to that space. So where the Rev is at in his life right now, you may not be there, right? So where he says, well, I don't really care how people feel. Honestly, we're all human. So we have different levels of what we care about other people thinking about us, right? It's just a human condition. And some of us really care what other people think about us. So Don't put that out there until you have reached a level to where
Yeah.
you can honestly say, I don't care what people think, right?
Yeah.
And don't worry
Yeah.
about the fact that the Rev doesn't care what people think, but you still
Yeah.
care, right? You're making those gains every day as long as you're working toward it.
Amen.
As we
Amen.
wrap up, one thing I want to leave people with is locus of control, right? One of the things that I'm grateful for is that I view the world as there are some things I can't change. I'm probably not going to dunk a basketball. Probably not going to make a spacesuit for me to go up to the Mars or to the moon. It's not gonna happen. But there are so many things that I can control in my life, right? I can control what I eat. I can control if I exercise. I can control my thoughts. I can decide to do what I want to do. And so when I asked folks, I said, are you on the ocean of your life? When the winds blow, do you just get blown to or fro? Or do you have your oars? Do you have your engine? And are you navigating the seas? Or are the seas navigating you? And I choose to navigate the seas and not let life navigate me. Doesn't mean that bad things aren't going to happen to me in my life, things that are outside of my locus of control, but how I engage and how I navigate through it, that is under my control. And so that gives me strength and it helps me to persevere and be resilient.
Amen. Amen. Yeah. I'm a very unique individual. So when I speak about myself, you guys don't ever take it and be like, yeah, I'm gonna run with that because I'm a very peculiar person. Um, you know, the thing
Well,
is,
Mr. Peculiar, I'm going to give you the final word.
okay,
He said he had an hour. He had to get out,
bro,
and he's already 10 after.
We had 35 minutes. We had 35 minutes.
Oh, you're saying you got 25? It doesn't matter that the timer started?
I started 8 minutes late, so actually we had 42 minutes.
Okay, all right.
So
I'm just looking out for you, Rev.
yeah. Okay. All right.
Go ahead.
Anyway, what I was saying, like, anyway.
I guess we got 20 more minutes.
No, what you got over there? We had an hour?
No, I didn't even look over there.
All right, no, but seriously,
I was just looking at the time at the top of the hour.
Again, you come from a more secular point of view, and I try and come from a spiritual aspect. And I would say this, as most people, who profess to be Christians, when it comes to and speaking to the last thing you was talking about the person, trying to come back from a fall, as Christians, we know that we all have a past. We all um, have done things that we're not so proud of, and we don't want to be judged by those things. So if you're out there and you're professing to be a Christian, you're saying like, yeah, I go to church, I'm a Christian, then you should be able to show some grace and mercy for whatever it is somebody else has have tried to have done in the past, and give space and opportunity for redemption, because we look for the same thing from God every day, day by day. And the Bible says that His grace and mercy is new every day, and so we have to, just like give space for that, and let that person know they're like, yeah, that was yesterday. Today, let's do better, and if we make it to tomorrow, let's try and do even better than we did today. You go day by day because ain't no changing yesterday. But we can change the moment. So,
well, let's sit in that. So give some folks some tools. If someone has offended you or done something wrong, you're saying have a conversation and then take it day by day. A lot of folks hold on to things, right?
Yeah.
The Black community is meeting here in 2 weeks to talk about the things that have been holding us back, right? And that's not unique to Kitsap County, but it's something that individuals go through, families go through. So how can you have that conversation, have that dialogue, work through that situation, and then truly let it go? Some folks will say, I forgive, but I won't forget, which I might say, stop the cap, because if you ain't forgetting and you really truly haven't forgiven, because as soon as you do something wrong next, then here it come again, right? And you done brought it up, or it's piled on top,
I was talking with a gentleman just the other day, and he has some family hurt that he's dealing with that's been going on almost 2 decades, 18 years,
Mm.
and still, man, talking to him and you think it happened like a week or two ago. It's real fresh, you know. And what I was telling him was, when we, one of the things we have to learn to do is that forgiveness part, right? Because he's like, oh, I keep trying to have conversation, with the family, and nobody wants to talk about it, and they just, it ain't the time, or ain't nobody trying to hear that right now, and this and that or whatever else. And people, what it is that people throw up their guards and they get defensive, and it's like, yeah, we don't want to deal with that because it's a hard and tough space to deal with things, right? And so what I told him was, if you really want to have this conversation with your family, what you have to do is first forgive them, like truly and honestly in your heart of hearts, forgive them, you know, and then, call them and say, hey, you know what? I don't really want to get into it. I just want to call and let you know that, I've forgiven you for X, Y, and Z. And, I'm saying I love you. And, I'm praying that you're having a good day, and I'm going to let you go now. Right. Just like,
That's just
yeah,
gonna piss him off more sometimes.
it
Hey,
could.
you forgive me?
Yeah.
Like, who you think you are for you
You know what?
forgive me?
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna be honest with you and tell you something, right? We all have a conscience, and when we do in this particular situation, right? That I'm speaking of, that I was counseling the person. There's no way when you do wrong, you've done wrong. Now we can put on, airs to the public and be like, oh yeah, I was right and da 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 da. But our conscience is telling us like, yeah, you wrong. You're just trying to convince other people to see it your way so you can justify what you did, or you try to ignore talking about it so you ain't got, you can just keep on saying like, oh, I ain't do nothing wrong or whatever, by not really addressing it. But God puts that in us. He's given us that conscience is gonna nag us, and we're gonna know, like, yeah, I did wrong. You know what I'm saying? And so it doesn't matter whether who you're telling that you wasn't wrong and how much you're saying it. In your heart of hearts, you was wrong, right? And so when you've wronged someone, and that person comes to you and say, hey, even though you haven't admitted it or whatever else, I just want to let you know that the situation that happened, I'm past it. I've forgiven you. You know what I'm saying? And like, yeah, I forgive you, and like, I love you. I still love you, and I still want you in my life. What that does is it's gonna begin to yank on that conscience even more, and it's gonna cause that person to come back to you and say, you know what? Thank you, one, for the forgiveness, and then you're gonna start having that conversation about whatever it was, because that person's gonna know. And that's what I told him. I was like, it got to be genuine, because if that forgiveness is genuine, they'll really feel it when you say it to them, and you give them that space of forgiveness to be forgiven. But the thing is, what a lot of people don't understand is, in order to truly give forgiveness, we have to understand and recognize that we are all in need of forgiveness first. Like, until we realize that we all need forgiveness for something, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Well,
you know,
maybe that's the way they can look at it. Is there is somebody that you want forgiveness from,
yeah,
right? And maybe you can't get it because they're in that same headspace that you're in, where you won't forgive this person, but you want forgiveness from this person. And so putting yourself in that space, somebody has to go first,
yeah, yeah,
ultimately.
yeah.
And you
And
go ahead.
well, in that, you know, a lot of times. So, and I'm gonna go back to this particular situation, right? And I don't know if this to be true or not, because we didn't get into that part. But a lot of times when we have these long going episodes, like I said, this was like almost 2 decades, 18
Mhm.
years, right? Sometimes that initial that initial wrong will, like, that's the big thing, right? But because you feel like you've been slighted and wrong, you'll do something in return, you know what I'm saying, that it's like, boom, now this person feels justified and, being angry and not talking, because it's like, okay, well, you did this, even though you started it, and gets to this tick to tat and this back and forth, where now each side feel like, okay, you did this, and that, and oh, well, you did this, and that, because of the initial wrong. So both sides now feel justified in their anger and their separation, and standing with a grudge and all this and that because you didn't said something or did something or whatever else. But again, we all need that forgiveness, and so somebody has to understand that, like, yeah, I'm in need of forgiveness. And the Bible tells us that if we don't forgive our brothers who we see every day, how we expect God to forgive us? You know what I'm saying? How we gonna expect God to give us forgiveness when we can't even forgive one another? You know what I'm saying? For little things, and the stuff we do against God is way worse. So
Well, and that's why I'm grateful for the power of discernment, right? So with my gratitude for the power of discernment helps for me not to allow certain folks to get too close to me to where they're going to violate me in a way where I'm really hurt by it.
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
And like I said before, my father, one of those gifts that he gave me is the power and the understanding the difference between friends and acquaintances, right? And not mislabeling folks or having these expectations of people that can't live up to your expectations, and now you're disappointed or you're upset because they did this, that, and the other. So that is one of the things I'm definitely grateful for.
yeah.
That helps me to navigate that. Like right now, do I have some grudges going on? Oh, I might have one.
Yeah, we
I have one.
talked
I
about
have
you and
one
your
that I can
grudges.
think of.
Yeah. Let it. The thing is, as far as gratitude goes, right? All of us that have the opportunity to still forgive or be forgiven should be grateful, because I've I know people where that opportunity is taken away because somebody passes away, you know, and it's like, okay, now that opportunities to forgive or be forgiven is gone, and 18 years is a long time, and especially considering that tomorrow's never guaranteed. We got to take opportunity, as we have it, and say, you know what, today, right now, I'm gonna, forgive. I'm gonna let that pain go, because even if the conversation never takes place, right, and even if y'all never go back and redress, the slights and the hurts and everything else, the forgiveness is such a release, to let go. What I'm saying, is such a release where you're not bound, what I'm saying, to that situation anymore. You're not carrying, like, you've been carrying that around for 18 years. You know what I'm saying? You've been holding on to that and bringing it to the point where, like, you're ready to go in tears because it's still so fresh. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so letting that go is just like, so, what I'm saying, it's so powerful. You know what I'm saying? And what it does is, when you forgive that other person, you know what I'm saying, especially while they're still here to receive that forgiveness, really what you're doing is now you putting the ball in their court. Like, look, I'm good. I love you.
I think
you,
it's bigger than that. I think it's bigger than that. I counsel so many people, and folks carry so much baggage on themselves. And when we have these conversations, they have been offended by so many people. There's so many ills that everyone has done them wrong, and there's this situation and that situation. It's like, let go of all those burdens. Why are you holding that?
Yeah.
And your mindset and your thoughts are filled with what this person did and what that person did. You're not on your purpose, right? But tell them, put that piece of paper on the ground and look down and say, is what I'm doing right now serving my purpose? And that includes your thoughts. Are my thoughts right now serving my purpose? Because if they're not, then I need to start thinking about something else. And I need to start doing something else that matches the thoughts on the place that I'm trying to get to in my life.
Yeah. But
so you got to let that stuff go.
And you know what else it does when you hold on to those things? It affects new relationships. It affects, how
big facts.
Yeah, how you treat, what I'm saying, new people that come into your life. You're less willing to be vulnerable with them, or
I'm guarded.
Yeah, what I'm saying.
I'm waiting for you to mess up. I know
Yeah.
he's gonna be just like the other ones.
And exactly, and so it's very, it's detrimental even to yourself, and that's why I say it's such a big, huge release when you learn to, like, truly forgive, like, in your heart of hearts, and say, you know what, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. I love you, and I forgive you, and we can continue on in life because
Oh, that's one of the reasons why I sleep so well at night. For my little 3.5 hours that I get. I don't carry that stuff. What you saying?
You just said you had a grudge with somebody. Let it go.
I said
Let
one.
it go. Let it,
Well, I used to have a lot. I was angry dude. I told you I was
one.
angry. What do you mean it only takes one?
It only takes one.
Hey man, I'm working on me. Okay, I'm not a perfect vessel.
That's what I'm teaching. Be good. Be
good. And you know what? Honestly, at this point, it's just one that I just haven't fixed. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's with my brother, but it's one I haven't fixed.
That's a big.
But I can't really say that. Even today, not really angry at anyone, not pissed off at anyone. I might be disappointed, but no, I'm just at a stage in my life where that does not affect me now.
Yeah.
In that way, and it is very freeing and empowering. And I tell folks, they say, "Oh, you're like a robot. You just keep going and keep going and keep going. You don't seem to stop in the things that you do." And part of what allows me to do that is I'm not focused on all the BS. I don't have those distractions, so I'm constantly on mission, trying to help other people and do what I think I'm called to do, right? And then I don't have to worry about how anyone thinks of how I'm doing what I'm called to do. And there's lots of judgments that are levied against me on how I do what I do, why I do what I do, how I do what I do. And I've told this story before. It's like, people told me I was stupid for starting G2, right? And wanting to help people and feed folks and provide transportation. It's like, have your timeshare, live your life, have a ball with you and Layla. And it's like, that's not what I'm called to do. So I'm just obeying what I believe my mission is at this point in my life.
Yeah.
And for that reason, like I said, I very rarely set an alarm because I wake up ready to go to work and do the work. It is what it is, and it feels good. I got a peace and a joy.
Amen.
But I'm the secular side. I'm the worldly side. You called me a heathen earlier with the different words. So
I say you was an infidel.
Yeah, you say, wow, it's getting worse. How do you really feel about me, Ram? Are we friends or acquaintances? I might need to know the difference here. I don't know who I'm sitting next to.
You coming from the secular, I'm coming from the spiritual. I say infidel.
Wow.
No, I'm joking.
Call me a heathen and an infidel?
I did not call you a heathen. When did I say
surprised? That? I mean, that's kind of the words that I thought. Do you even let me take communion?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Of course.
Right. Well, I appreciate that.
No, okay. Hey, audience, me and Marwan, we joke a lot, but I do consider Marwan a friend. Yes, a good, close friend. I do. So, yeah.
This is called the No Cap Recap.
So is that cap or no cap? I'm not a friend. I'm his acquaintance. You see that?
No.
I open up. I'm vulnerable. I'm like, I consider him.
That's what you said you were.
This is the new cap. This is the no cap recap.
That's what you said you were. It wasn't required for me to be that way.
Oh, so I'm not your.
I didn't say that. No, that's another conversation. Okay. We're out of time, people. Next week on the. No, we're friends. We're friends. This is my friend.
I'm hurt. You know, I have fun doing this show. I do. I really do. Yeah.
No, this is the only way we be able to, joke with each other and talk and,
yes.
Have personal moments. We do have conversations with each other about things that are affecting our lives, things that get us down when we're going through trials and tribulations, and we lift each other up. So it's very, very positive.
Indeed.
There you go. So now I think we should go ahead and wrap.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we had our hour.
Yeah.
I got work to do. Unfortunately, I don't want to do my work, but I got work to do.
So I'm fearfully going to ask the pastor for the final word and hope that it's in under 2 minutes.
It'll be in under 2 minutes. It'll probably be less than a minute. My final word is, be mindful of your attitude. Be mindful of the attitudes of those you choose to have around you. And remember, whether you realize it or not, the people that you choose to surround yourself with will affect your attitude, and affect your outlook on life. And so if you find yourself always in these negative spaces with these negative thoughts and attitudes, be reflective, one of yourself and then those you choose to associate with.
Mine would be make yourself that gratitude jar, that gratitude bowl. You'll be surprised as to how fast you can fill that up. I'm grateful that I can think. I'm grateful that I can walk if you can walk. I'm grateful that I can get up in the middle of the night and go to the fridge and grab a snack. I'm grateful that I can get into a hot shower when I want to take a shower. Whatever you're grateful for, put it in there. It doesn't matter how small it is. And as you reflect on that, pull one out every morning. But look back after a month, look back after 2 months, and that jar will be filled of all the things that you're grateful for. And understand that you've been through a lot of things in your life and you've overcome a lot of things in your life. And so, as is that Maya Angelou, this too shall pass? Is that who said that? Someone said it. You saying no? Somebody said it. I'm saying it now. It's mine now for the day. This too shall pass. And if it doesn't, you're going to find a way to walk through it. And, when I said, when my dad was, having his amputations done and went from being able to walk to, them just taking more pieces, first the foot, then the leg, and all the way up to the knee. And then to right before he passed, he still had this joy. Even though I would sit there and watch a grown man in tears because he didn't like the pain meds, he didn't like taking those. And he still had this joy that other folks that weren't going through near what he was going through, and was unexplainable. And it was because of his gratitude and his relationship with God that got him through. And I'm definitely still working toward that because, man, that was powerful.
Amen.
Witness and see.
Amen.
But that is it. This is the No Cap recap.
No. This was the No Cap recap.
This was the No Cap recap. We won't be back next Saturday because we have what?
We're not doing it next week?
No, we have I will be at the NAACP event next Saturday. Monday? Yeah, I think we'll do another Monday if that works for you.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, just keep me posted.
So it's just the end of the summer, so we got a lot going on. And so I'm in a lot of different places. But yes, we will be back next Monday. Do make sure you subscribe, like, and share. The Rev has service on Saturdays at 11. And the address is 4040 Wheaton Way, Suite 203, 98337. And one of the great things that I like about this particular ministry is he really does say, come as you are. So come as you are. Come have some coffee and some water and some graham crackers or whatever else the Rev has here.
Fresh donuts. I've been getting fresh donuts. Yeah. I've been stopping at Safeway, getting the dozen. And,
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Well, come on down and fellowship and, just get to know some new people. And with that, we thank you all for tuning. Man, folks are tuning in, coming into the No Cap recap, and we get ready to sign off. So thank you for coming. Go ahead and watch the replay, everyone. I would appreciate you. For Michael Ellington, Pastor Reverend Michael Ellington. That's probably the first time I've said your first name in probably like 4 months. I am Marwan Cameron. This is the Conduit Network with